Today we will be reading some Reddit stories whilst playing Minecraft. We will be caving and making a sorting system. 19M, annoyed with cheating 25F. So about 1 year ago exactly, I met this girl online through, let's say, a video game. She and I hit it off pretty decent. Just joking, Josh, friendly chatting. She makes a few moves on me, but I kind of brush them off. Eventually one night, we get into dirty talking, full-on 50 Shades kind of stuff. And eventually in a few weeks, we get on Skype and do the nasty. Naturally, over time, we get in a relationship, and she tells me she loves me. So, I'm excited, horny, and totally ready to be in this relationship with a 25-year-old that looks smoking hot. Or so I thought. After a few months, I'm about to start a new job. She messages me randomly. Lo and behold. After all these years of laughing at people for being fooled on the internet for being catfished, I have been catfished. She calls me bawling, telling me, I just wanted something good for once, and you were it. At this point, I was emotionally into this girl. So, looks and no looks. I didn't give a crap. I told her I loved her, and she turned out to not be hideous and ugly, so it didn't bother me. She was bigger, but she told me when we first started dating, she was going through chemo, so she gained weight. Months pass, and I kind of get over it. But what bothers me is the lying. A lot of the times we talk sexual. I'm a virgin with no real experience. Granted, I've been offered a lot of sexual favors consistently, but I decline it. Not trying to type up an ego act like I'm the hot thing, but it happens I'm young, not exactly ugly. So drunk girls kind of throw themselves at me, which I kind of find disgusting. Anyways, back to the point, I find out a lot of things about her. At one point she dated another guy online. He was Swedish. The difference was she flew him out twice, bought him shit, supported him financially, treated him like a king. Oddly enough, she even had a threesome with her ex of 5 years together. She had his miscarriage, was about to get married till he got in an accident. She told me she was over both these guys. But let's say for story's sake, the Swedish guy is XA, and the other 5-year guy is XB. So slowly she starts telling me things she used to decline. I would ask, have you ever had a threesome with 2 guys? No, never. Slowly she says, well, once with XB and another guy. But I only let XB actually put it in me. I only gave head to the other guy. Being the jealous virgin, this lie really annoyed me. Because not only a few months ago did she catfish me, but now she's lying about things like this. So, I got more annoyed. Come to find out later, she admits to me she used to be called Head Monster in high school. Her number of guys she's given head to be exact is 22. Again, I'm emotionally into her, so I don't really care. She's with me now. And that's what matters, right? Or so the annoying voice in my head disagrees with. Look, I'm not going to deny the fact that I'm jealous that she does all that kind of stuff for other guys, and me being in a relationship for over 1 year now, haven't even seen her naked pisses me off. This part will be specifically dedicated to the chemo, which I barely touched on. She has had cancer before, and I have sat through painful nights listening to her bawl, cry. At one point, the doctor said her chances of survival are slim, but she is doing better. And she did just finish chemo. Am I making the same mistake I made at the start and just blindly trusting her? I used to tell all my friends, cam verify, before doing anything. But I think I made the mistake of getting emotionally invested and letting myself get lost. Another major detail I'd like to add is Facebook. Oh, how many arguments we've had over it. She talks about Facebook all the time, tells me this and that. But she refuses for some reason to add me. She refuses to add me on Facebook. She doesn't want me to see embarrassing photos. I've shown you my full nude body on cam. You've added your exes. You've gotten naked and blown guys in bathrooms. You must be drunk at a party. Yet me, a guy you've dated for over a year, and you claim to love. You say you're not going to add on Facebook because of photos or the fact you don't want to explain me to your friends and family. She once got naked in this website for a bunch of people on that video game we both played and had lesbian foreplay. All of this, and something else to add. Not ranting, I just want the full details so you guys can understand my perspective. She also wants us to force our kids into church, if we ever have any. I know I'm 19, but that hypocrisy annoys me. She can blow 22 guys, have same-sex intercourse, threesomes with 2 guys who she's not married to, but then force her kids into church? In my opinion, if religion is your faith after you do your own research, good for you. Long story short, she's been busy the past week. I haven't heard from her. I have male urges, and I'm not going to cheat on her. But emotionally and sexually, I'm lonely now, and her ignoring me, while she tells me of how she treats her exes like kings, has made me jealous and resentful. We have been together for over 1 year. She tells me she loves me more than she loved XB. But she won't even show me herself naked once, but has told me one time at party she got drunk and blew 2 guys off at once with another girl in a bathroom when she was 17. The jealousy, anger, and resentment due to the time I haven't gotten to talk to her is making my blood boil, to the point where I have called out sick of work tomorrow because I know I'll be an angry mess. Reddit, what do I do? He's young and clearly caught between lust, loneliness, and wanting to be the good guy, but he's ignoring every red flag waving in his face. She's manipulative, dishonest, and keeping him hooked through guilt. He needs to walk away and learn from this before it damages his self-worth any further. Anyways, here's the next story. Stick me with your work? Enjoy getting stuck unemployed. This is a long story, but I've marked off the revenge and pro-revenge bits, with appropriate headings to facilitate skimming. Background: around 8 years ago, I applied for a job working for a relatively small organization as a manager. Instead of the position I applied for, they offered me a different job reporting to the person they hired for the management position. Still a step up in my career, but not quite as good. I accepted the job, and soon after was invited out to dinner to meet my new manager. Let's call her Sarah. I immediately became skeptical of Sarah. She presented as a devout Christian woman while throwing shade at her previous co-workers and jobs, all of which raised alarms on my mind. I resigned myself to being polite but distant from her, rather than running away as fast as I could, because I figured I might have the wrong idea about her. Yeah, not so much. As soon as we started working together, she started pawning off much of her work to me. She hated making phone calls, which she was required to make, so I got stuck with those. She wouldn't return messages from clients, so I ended up doing that too. The organization was small and had a serious resource shortage, something which was made worse by some recent system changes that were made right around the time we arrived. Her shirking was positioned as delegation, since she'd dealing with fixing those systems issues. The higher-ups saw it as a temporary issue and implored me to be cooperative. Soon, I was working 60 hours a week, trying to keep up with the workload. I got paid overtime, but no amount of money can make up for constantly being thrown under the bus by your incompetent boss, because I couldn't handle the workload I was being asked to manage. Nobody could. When she would actually get called on the carpet for mistakes and issues, she would yell and scream at me while simultaneously blaming me for the problems she caused. Meanwhile, she was having long conversations with anyone who wandered past her doorway. leaving at 4 every day, with no overtime, and smiling that self-righteous smile of the oblivious sociopath. I think she truly thought she was a great and successful manager. I will point out that the people in upper management clearly noticed that something was up with the work in our department. A year had passed and things weren't getting better. They were actually worse on my end, since now I was so demoralized that I'd cried a couple of times at work. Thus, they didn't pay much attention when I pointed out that our workloads were inequitable and that I was basically working both of our jobs, mine and Sarah's, without the appropriate tools, since Sarah hadn't actually fixed the system issues she had been hired to manage. Other people in the organization didn't really understand the system issues because they never had to use the system. Revenge. I finally decided that I was finished dealing with Sarah and needed to demonstrate the dysfunction to the higher-ups. I waited for Sarah to take a week of vacation and then promptly called in sick for 2 days once she was gone, leaving the higher-ups to try and handle client issues for those 2 days. I didn't answer any calls from the office during working hours, despite having some frantic, "How the hell do I do what the client is asking me to do?" messages. Instead, I waited until after hours, claimed to have been sleeping due to medication, and then left long messages detailing the convoluted processes of how the system worked, or didn't. I took the time to work on my resume and write up my resignation letter, including an offer to stay for up to 2 months to facilitate a transition. I didn't bear the lower-tiered work doll will, and the money would be helpful if I could have a set date in mind, so I felt okay with a longer notice period. I arrived back at work after my illness and had 3 of the higher-ups walk straight into my office, shut the door, and sit down. "What the fuck is going on here?" was the first thing that came tumbling out of the general manager's mouth. So I spent a good 10 minutes detailing the system issues, reminding them that I had consistently mentioned being overworked and not having the tools to do my job. Apparently Sarah, unbeknownst to me, had been bad-mouthing me to all of them, calling me incompetent and slow. Once they told me that, I said I found that surprising, since she had spent all of that time bad-mouthing the system to me and calling the management incompetent. One of the other managers told me that they were attributing the problems to me and my emotional state, and now realized after just 2 days of trying to do my job just how awful things really were. They apologized to me for doubting my claims and vowed to make changes. I thanked them and handed them my resignation notice, telling them that I had decided to go back to school to pursue a new career, and couldn't do that while working for or with Sarah. Over the next 2 months before I finally left, Sarah basically became a woman defeated. I fed them every nasty word she said for 2 months, including showing them some text messages I received in which she bad-mouthed the organization. The GM told me they couldn't fire her because anyone new would be even worse with the system, but that they were taking steps to cross-train others on the system in order to be able to get rid of her. They monitored her office and interrupted long conversations. They removed me from her control, allowing me to return her delegated work and insist she do it herself. We had long meetings about systems issues during which she was left looking like a bumbling incompetent. After I finally left, they had a little party for me. They called her into the GM office and read her the riot act for basically chasing me out the door and costing the organization a strong employee. Their words, not mine. Sarah contacted me after being told off and expressed how sad she was that I would say such things. I denied using the words they claimed I used, saying only that I talked about the circumstances and not the people. I lied purposefully in the faint hope that it would be useful to me in the future. I had no great love for the management of the organization, despite their recent attempts to make amends. And it cost me little to play both sides. Her reputation was so bad at that point that nobody would believe her if she said I stuck up for her. It wound up being a good instinct. They fired her 3 months later and told her not to use them as a reference. She has basically been stuck in a series of temporary and low-paying jobs ever since she left. We are still social media friends, and I have seen her messages about looking for help from God and tough financial times. As much as I want to feel bad for her, I can't muster up even a little bit of concern for her. Instead, I enjoyed a little private laugh at every bad thing that seemed to happen to her. Call me a jerk, but I view her as someone who tried to destroy my career to save herself some work. Cold-blooded pro-revenge. So it has been nearly 8 years, as I said, and I have finally had a chance to truly extract my pound of flesh from her. Last week she sent me a long email talking about our working together and how she's happy to see as things have gone well for me and how she looks back fondly on our work together. She said she knows that we didn't work together ideally, but that she had few options and wanted to ask me for a professional reference. I jumped at the chance and reassured her that I held her no ill will. Here is my contact info. Just have them get in touch. Anything you want me to emphasize when we talk? I got all the details and told her I would let her know when I got the call. I finally got the call this past Thursday. I proceeded to damn her with as faint praise as I could possibly muster. I really put on the Hollywood touches. Weird vocal inflections, thoughtful pauses before tepid endorsements, seemingly careful and precise word selection. They must have heard from others about her penchant for talkativeness, because they asked me point blank about that too. I went super cagey in my response. I mean, she certainly is friendly enough, but I can't recall any personal experience with her being distracted from her work by talking too much. Of course, I spent so much time in my office that perhaps I just didn't see it. Got the word this morning thanking me for the reference and saying they hired someone else for the job. I expressed my condolences and told her to feel free to let me know if she needs another reference. She told me she would definitely be in touch. That's pure satisfaction right there. The way they exposed Sarah's incompetence while keeping their own hands clear and then subtly crushed her future opportunities was calculated, clever, and deeply deserved. All right, here's the next story. 48 hours in. To learning my wife was on the path to a full-blown affair. Needed to write this somewhere as I feel like I have nobody to talk to at the moment. Forgive me if I ramble. This October will mark 27 years of marriage. We have 2 kids. Daughter lives at home with us, recently married, while waiting for her husband's deployment to the Air Force. Our son is a Marine and lives on the opposite coast. We've had a rough patch for probably the last 6 months. That is mainly based on me having ED. To be blunt, my wife wants a lot of intercourse, and there's only so far I can go. Tried multiple pills, and nothing has worked. Tried to get creative, but for her, it's not the real thing. She was becoming more and more distant, and actually lashing out at me saying I didn't love her anymore, or I wasn't attracted to her. I've had my own struggles dealing with ED, and I did turn her down sometimes because I feel horrible about how it all goes down, knowing she is not fully satisfied. My wife is on social media quite a bit and posts a lot. Nothing crazy, but we're different that way. I like to read what my friends are up to, but don't post a lot while she is constantly posting. For a couple of months, she started posting a lot of pictures of herself, which typically get a lot of her friends telling her how beautiful she is. I noticed a guy was all over her posts, but figured, hey, some guy probably has a crush on my wife, but my wife would never engage in anything like that. So, the last few months, my wife started becoming more distant while getting upset with me and suggesting I was the one not giving her enough attention. With the whole COVID thing, she's not working, and I'm working full-time at home. I figured this was a case of the stress of everything going on, but made an effort to engage even more with her. I would come out of our office as much as possible during the day and come down to talk to her. She was clearly shutting me down and pushing me away at that point. We had a huge blow-up where she laid out everything she's unhappy about. I'm not giving her what she needs. She needs to feel closeness. She needs more intimacy. Longer discussion led to her saying our current intercourse life was a big problem, and she craves so badly what no longer works in me. I feel awful but don't know what else to try. So to try and get to where things went completely sideways, 2 nights ago we're talking, and her phone goes off. I was right next to her, and it was a Facebook Messenger message from a guy. The same guy who was heavily engaging with her on Facebook. It pops up right in front of us. Miss you. Thinking about you, I'm like, what the hell is that? She starts by explaining that he's just a friend that she knew growing up, and he reached out on Facebook. They knew each other's families, so it really is nothing. What proceeded to happen throughout the night was unwinding a series of lies where I'd learn more and more. They'd been talking for months, but just reminiscing about family and childhood stories. Then it went to she was telling him she is struggling in her marriage, but she swears that was it. I pushed for her to come clean, and it went further. They were exchanging fantasies about what they do to each other. She was breaking down, saying she just needed intercourse so bad. And again, we have intercourse in the sense that we do as much as we can without penetration. She finally says, I have to go out. I promise I'll be back, but I know this is horrible, and I need to think. I almost lost it as she was walking out and said, please don't leave me, but I bit my tongue. I figured she was going to call a friend or something. I'm talking a girlfriend here. In maybe a bad move, it hit me that, what are the odds she is talking to this guy? And I went to the Verizon site and looked at her phone logs. Sure enough, it showed a number she had a 30-minute call with, right after she left. I started doing every bit of research to find out who it was. It was getting really late, and I was super concerned about why she wasn't coming back. I texted a few times, but she didn't answer. Eventually, I get a text around 2 a.m. that she's coming home. When she got home, I asked what she had done. She told me she went to see one of her girlfriends. And I said, who did you call? She said she called her girlfriend. I know her friend's number, because our families are friends. So, I said, I know, you made another call. She looked shocked, and I said, just come clean. She said, when she left, she called him to tell him what was happening. I pointed out that she has been continuously lying throughout the night. So, at that point, so came out with all of it. So throughout the night and into the dawn, it all came out. She said they haven't had intercourse yet, but they were to the point they were planning. And she said it was definitely going to happen. I asked her multiple times throughout the night if it was going to stop, and she was invested in us. Every time I got a non-committal answer. She's confused. She feels lost. She told me that she wouldn't talk to him at one point, but he reached out to her the next day, and they spoke for about 20 minutes. Sorry for rambling. I don't have the first clue what to do. I really have no one to talk to. It's so weird that she is looked at as a pillar of our community, and I'm just the quiet, hard-working husband. If you were to be told that there was an affair going in between us, I guarantee everyone that knows us would want to know what the hell I've done. Maybe that doesn't matter. But again, it's just feeling like I can't turn anywhere. I don't even know how to wrap this up. I'm in so much pain. Like I can feel physical pain from this. My chest is hurting, and I feel so sick. If you read this far, thank you. I don't know what to do. Bro, that is so messed up. I can't believe she's blaming his ED for her basically planning to cheat. That's a whole new level of messed up. He was actually trying to work on it, and she just completely checked out and went looking for validation elsewhere. Anyways, here's the next story. Coworker gets me fired. My many years waiting for revenge. So I worked for Company A for almost a decade that had a small team consisting of 10 people doing commissioned work for businesses in my city. The owner treated us like family, knowing that we worked long and hard days, sometimes up to 60 hours in a week. He paid us better than expected. Bonuses and perks he negotiated with businesses that commissioned our work. Even gave the whole company a week off paid when his son was getting married so we could attend it. We had our squabbles like any other family, and things weren't always bright and perfect. But this is to show how nice owner treated his employees and didn't screw me over. After working there for years, the manager position came open. Since by then I was one of the most senior workers with Company A, so I thought I would apply, which had a few others interested do as well. I didn't get the position, mainly because, despite my experience at Company A, I didn't have a business administration degree. Someone who worked for owner did, so he got it. Realizing the education I would have to get and the demand of this job, I thought long and hard and concluded that if I wanted to go anywhere in life, I would have to get that degree. Coming right of high school to work for Company A was great, but if I wanted to do something more, I would have to go to university. I talked to the owner and gave my 2 weeks' notice. When I explained what I wanted to do and why, he understood that I was trying to make something of myself. This all becomes relevant later, I promise. Going to university, I found that I had tuition covered through government grants, but not things like food, rent, etc. So I looked around and eventually found work at Company B. Company B was a retail store with a bigger staff than I'd been used to, somewhere around 50 employees, but had such a huge employee turnaround that it was scary at times. They dealt with a wider range of goods from groceries to very expensive items. They had a certain niche clientele that they could order items for and catered to. I ended up working part-time in their warehouse and answered to the warehouse supervisor, who answered to the manager. There were other supervisors for other parts of the store, but for this, only the sales supervisor is relevant. Skip forward 7 years. In that time, I got my BA degree and worked at Company B the whole time, going from part-time to full, and eventually applied for the warehouse supervisor position. I was interviewed, got the job, been supervisor for months, when the manager and I hired Kay as a warehouse clerk. Kay isn't the one to get the revenge, but she played a crucial part in the revenge. Then Bitch gets hired. Bitch started out as a cashier, working quickly up the chain and brown-nosing as many co-workers as possible, including the manager. When a sales rep went on maternity leave, Bitch quickly jumped at the chance to work in sales and ended up permanently being a part of that team, then the sales supervisor soon after. Me and Bitch got along like oil and water. We butted heads over things constantly. She would tell the manager all the small things that I did, but called me a snitch when I reported the issues she was causing. She would badmouth me and my warehouse staff, talk over me at meetings, and try to take credit for my ideas. She openly told co-workers that I was the cause of many issues and couldn't wait for me to leave. Oh, and she was never at fault. It would be the customer's fault, my fault, the delivery driver's fault, another coworker's fault, etc. There were times when we got together well, but far and few between. I get fired. So one day, a very, and I mean very expensive ring set, which was about $5,000, comes in. Years ago, I set up a procedure for any type of jewelry so that it will not get lost or stolen. The last step is, once we have done everything with it in the warehouse, we take it to the office and have someone put it in the safe immediately. This particular time, I was the one who received the rings. So, once going through the procedure, told Kay that I was taking it to the office. The only one available who had the combination to the safe was Bitch. I asked her if she could open the safe. She looked at me, looked at the jewelry box in my hand, then said, "Put it down here on my desk. I'll put it away once I'm done this email." Keep in mind that me and the bitch had had a serious spat over something earlier that day. And I generally didn't feel like being close to her if I could help it. So I never saw her put it in the safe myself. The next day, I get a call from the manager to come to the office. I head there to find manager, Bitch, and the HR consultant they pull in when some real shit hits the fan. Manager tells me that said ring set have disappeared. I tell them the procedure I followed, and last I saw them was with Bitch. Manager tells me that Bitch checked the box, and that said box was empty. Manager then pulls the box out. Sure enough, the box the rings were in was indeed empty. I swear to manager that the rings were inside when I checked them before, given to Bitch. At this point, it's my word against hers. By stroke of bad luck, the in-store video recorder had broken down days before the incident, so there was no way to verify what happened. We all know someone has to take the blame for this, and that's when Bitch strikes, saying that it was my fault, since it was last seen in my hands. Manager asks if this is true. Then I realize that yes, I was indeed the last person to touch the thing. And I never actually saw Bitch pick up the box. Bitch gives me the look of that screamed, "Gotcha!" Manager and the HR consultant ask us both to leave. After what seemed like forever, I get called in. Manager tells me that since I was responsible for the rings at the time and now are lost, they would be firing me. But, since they had no proof as to whether I stole the rings or not, they wouldn't press charges, which scared the crap out of me as this was the first time I heard of them thinking this. I go back to the warehouse, tell Kay and the other warehouse clerks just what happened, grabbed my personal belongings and left that day. After a couple weeks of trying to get my head around what happened and weighing my options, I decide my first priority is to try to get some sort of job, and consider it lucky if I get a job flipping burgers with the bad rep when they ask Company B. I call the owner of Company A to get a good reference from them and explain what happened and why I was calling, only to get the shock of a lifetime. The manager position was about to be open. The guy who I lost the position to was retiring soon due to complicated health reasons. Owner had kept tabs on me while at university and understood when I didn't immediately come back to him. But with a golden opportunity like this, he wanted me back, and I wasn't going to say no. I dive into my new job I originally wanted with an owner I enjoyed working for. I thought, then and there, everything would be behind me, not knowing it would come back, not to bite me, but to pay dividends. The revenge, Kay's side. This I found out after Bitch's reckoning. After I was fired, Kay knew she had to do something about Bitch. Kay knew that I wouldn't lose or steal something like the rings, but also knew that, without proof, Bitch would deny that she did it. and have Kay in her crosshairs to attack next. So after talking with her husband, she hatched a plan. She started hanging out with Bitch, telling her things like, "I'm so glad he's gone," or "wish he had been fired much earlier." Bitch, feeling high from getting rid of one of her thorns in her side, soaked it all in, and after a couple weeks, invited Kay and Kay's husband, from now on KH, for drinks at her place with her and Bitch's husband, BH. Months pass. Kay and KH do things regularly together with Bitch and BH, including drinking on weekends and couple-related events. When together, Kay would occasionally badmouth me, and Bitch would agree. Finally, after over a year of playing nice, when Kay and KH were over at Bitch's for one of their drinking parties, Kay randomly badmouthed me, mentioning the rings in passing. Then Bitch says something that Kay was waiting for. I wanted those rings, so I stole them. Kay, hearing this, asks for more details. KH looks at her, tries to wave her off with one hand, then gives up when Bitch keeps talking. That day, Bitch had stopped writing her email and was going to put the rings in the safe. The safe was open, and she was about to put the rings away when Bitch had an idea. See, as mentioned above, Bitch wanted me gone from Company B. She also wanted those rings. She also knew that the cameras weren't working. She figured that she could pocket the rings, tell the manager they were missing, and spin it so I would take the blame. Kay then asks, "Where are the rings now?" And Bitch, being too drunk and not seeing a reason not to brag, not only tells her, but shows her where they are in her room. All while KH had been recording the whole conversation on his phone. The hand waving was him saying he started recording. Kay gives a copy of the recording to manager the next workday. Police are called immediately. Bitch is arrested, and her house is raided. They find the rings. Kay and KH give the recording and testimonies to police. Bitch's reckoning has begun. Revenge, my side. I get a call from the prosecutor's office after Bitch is arrested and charged with theft over $5,000, among other things. He wants me to testify about what she did to me. I didn't skip a beat in saying yes. Fast track to the trial, prosecutor has me, Kay and KH testify, and plays the recording of Bitch admitting that she stole them. Her attorney tries to throw out the case saying that Kay got Bitch deliberately drunk, but Judge didn't buy it, since there was proof she drank all the time. Judge was lenient and gave her 5 years in prison, which she yelled was unfair, but I personally thought she got off easy. Meanwhile, as the trial was happening, I was talking with a lawyer to sue Bitch for setting me up like she did. We were also going to sue Company B for wrongful termination, but they settled the day they got notice of the lawsuit and knew they would lose. Bitch wasn't so lucky. They tried some trickery by having BH divorce her, and he received everything in the divorce, but my lawyer added him into the lawsuit as well. My lawyer asked, overall, for $3,500 for emotional distress, back pay from when I was fired until I started up with Company A again, and legal fees. And now, you are wondering where the metaphoric cherry is on this story. Well, recently, we had someone leave Company A, so we were hiring someone to replace them. Owner was going over the resumes and set up interviews for the job this week.